الله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. نشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد يحيي ويميت وهو حي لا يموت وهو على كل شيء قدير. ونصلي ونسلم على خير أمة المتقين وحبيب رب العالمين النور المبين والهادي إلى صراط الله تعالى المستقيم سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا وحبيبنا محمد بن عبد الله بن عبد المطلب. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم، وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما باركت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله بسم الله بسم الله. Allah, Allah, Allah. In the previous lecture, we have spoken about the magic as a technique, black magic, as a technique that the Dajjal has used long time ago. And we have given the example at the time of Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam, and the challenge was through the black magic. And when this confrontation between Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam and the Pharaoh, al-Fir'aun, and it was a sort of competition between Sayyidina Musa, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given Sayyidina Musa these two miracles, his hand and the stick converted to a snake. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked him to go to the Pharaoh and tell him, Allah has given me this evidence that I am his messenger and you are not a god. And the Pharaoh has accepted the challenge and said, okay, you come. This is it's another kind of magic. We are the professors of the magic. We have explained that in details in the previous lecture. And we have spoken about the magic using the black magic to create delusion, wahm. That delusion is controlling the masses, controlling their minds and controlling their belief system. And their belief system is very much depend on this delusion, and accordingly they worship that Pharaoh. They consider him as a god. I'd like to highlight this point again, because that was the last thing we spoken about in the last lecture. I'd like just to expand that meaning a little bit. And giving you like final signature has been done by Sayyidina Musa to overcome this black magic and to overcome this delusion and heal the Egyptian as a sort of treatment by the Sharia, the Mosaic law. Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam, when he win and have a great victory at this confrontation, and his stick became a big python, and that python has cleared all these hundreds of snakes and ropes and things. It takes everything inside, and all of a sudden it became a stick again, and everything is still inside the stick. And that was a great victory. The Pharaoh became really so frustrated, he don't know what to do, and it's clear that what you're doing is magic, but this is a miracle. This is not magic. And that was where this delusion is about to vanish. And he's going to lose his seat as a God, as a Lord, as Ilah. So I would like to highlight what is delusion, because the delusion created those days as we are living similar era nowadays. Actually, since 150 years ago. A little bit before destroying the Ottoman Empire. Like in the started to do this one from the mid-19th century. And understanding what is delusion, and we have given a little bit of explanation. I will repeat that one with a bit more explanation. We said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us in our mind, one of the tools or one of the powers of our mind is the imagination. That is everywhere, everyone, every human has this imagination power. This imagination power, if we don't have that imagination power, there is no civilizations. You understand? There is no civilization. If you don't imagine a house, if you don't have this, you will never build the house. If you don't imagine a temple, you will never build a temple. If you don't imagine anything, you will never have it. So anything as a civilization, it started with imagination. Accordingly, the more advanced, the more imagination power we have, the higher the civilization we can create. So far is fine. But what kind of civilization we are talking about? It is something related to the universe around us, using the materialistic world, which we call it in Islam, Alam al-Mulk, the world of, or the kingdom of existence, the physical existence around us. You can imagine a car, you can imagine a house, you can imagine a pizza, you can imagine anything. You can imagine it, design, have the ingredients and put it in the oven, you have the pizza. Before you have the pizza, you eat in imagination. You have the image in your mind, the pizza there. You can imagine everything with all ingredients. Accordingly, you bring the ingredients, you have this dough, and you put things here, the cheese and capsicum and that stuff. Then you have the pizza you already imagined. Right? So this imagination power does work in the Alam al-Mulk, in the kingdom around us. And we have explained that we have two different realms. Alam al-Mulk wa Alam al-Malakut. The kingdom of physical existence, and there is a higher realm called al-Malakuth. Malakuth is something non-physical world, or as the Western, so this is metaphysics. That world of metaphysics, of unseen, Allah has spoken about that world in the beginning of Surat Al-Baqarah, when He said subhanahu wa ta'ala, الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ, those who believe in the unseen. This is the metaphysics, or the unseen world. That unseen world has, like the bricks building that, not bricks as such, physical, non-physical bricks, building that one called meanings, the world of the meanings. High value stuff. Like when we said about braveness, can you shape me what is the color of the braveness? Shaga'a, generosity, love. You're talking about big, high level stuff but you cannot give it a shape. So it doesn't have a shape represented physically to us. But you believe that there is love. You believe there is generosity. You believe that one. When you try to give an example of generosity, you look around, you see, Mr. Firas, if you'd like to understand what is generosity, look how he behaved. He's very much spending, taking care of this, very much generous man. So you are using the example of generosity from his behavior, but you cannot give it a shape. So above that world of meaning, or alam al-ma'ani, that alam al-ma'ani, it's like a level of a world of the meaning. This is the physical world. There is something, a buffer in between, called the alam al-mithal, the world of examples. When you sleep, you see things, right? And you go to some sheikh or someone or one of the awliya and said, I have seen a vision last night, and can you interpret that one? See what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Yusuf, إن كنتم للرؤيا يا أيها الملأ أفتوني في رؤياي إن كنتم للرؤيا تعبرون. Just tell me something about my vision. You know, the king of, at the time of Sayyidina Yusuf, he said he have seen some 7 fatty cows being eaten by 7 small little cows, tiny or skinny cows, and 7 wheats, and that the whole vision, right? And he doesn't understand what is that. It needs some. These are very much symbolic. So it needs, when he said, I need you, someone to interpret this vision to me, if he or she, mostly is he, he can cross to that world to know what does it mean there, and come back to tell me what is the interpretation. Ta'burun, abur is crossing over. And in Arabic terminology called ta'birur ru'ya, crossing to the world of the visions. That is the buffer where the meanings come in that zone between physical existence and non-physical existence. That buffer called the world of examples, where these meanings has been represented by physical stuff. And we have explained that one in details last lecture. So far. So what is delusion? From where the delusion comes? There is a higher level. Like we have the alam al-mulk, the world of mulk, or the kingdom of physical, and alam al-malakut, the kingdom of non-physical. And there is higher realms, that one, like alam al-ruh, the world of spirit, the world of the jabarut, the world of lahut, hahut. 7 different realms. Allah Himself subhanahu wa ta'ala is above all of these realms. So currently in our life we have that interpretation from the world of the meaning, taking some shapes in the world of examples, so someone can interpret and go and say, yeah, that means this. Look, Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam, when he interpreted that vision for that king, he said 7 fatty cows means you're going to produce a lot of wheat for 7 years. What is the difference? What is cows and years? He interpret very bounty, 7 years and 7 fatty cows. And there is another 7 years will have famine. He will eat all of that. She said you save and spend in a yearly basis until you cover these 7 years, because it's 7 and 7, 7 cows and 7 tiny cows. This is 7 and 7 exactly. So he interpreted that he has that capability to cross over to that world to see what does it mean, and come back and said, this is the interpretation of your vision. Right? But that is being allowed between these two realms here. the realm of physical existence and the realm of non-physical existence. But we don't have information how we going to give shapes for the meanings. If we have the information how to give shapes for meanings to take like a physical shape, then you have an interpreter. But what about the higher level of higher realms? What about Allah Himself subhanahu wa ta'ala, the creator of all these realms, the one who made all these realms existed, and how you try to give Allah a physical shape? You understand? Like in the world of meaning, you give a physical shape, but that physical shape, as we explained last time, it does not have a physical, I said shape, physical shape, look like, but it doesn't have blood running in the veins. It doesn't have, like if you see someone in the visions, right? Your grandfather passed away, says 30, 40 years ago. You have seen him, right? What you have seen there, it's not a physical entity. He can eat and drink. He doesn't have this blood running in his veins. He don't need to go to the toilet and things like that. And even if you've seen him in the vision going to the toilet, that has a meaning. It's not really a toilet, right? But we do not have, Allah didn't give us, above the realm of the meanings, alam al-malakut, how things above that one can take shapes. If this is prohibited above that realm, it definitely prohibited that Allah Himself is taking a shape. So you cannot make a pharaoh is Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not the pharaoh. Allah Himself is not Jesus Himself to give Him a shape and crucify Allah on the cross and give it a shape. When you try to apply or use your imagination power to give something beyond the world of the meaning or Allah or anything a shape, this is what we call delusion. Wahm. It is not true. And this is what will happen at the time when the Dajjal started to appear. When he started appearing in person, he will say, I'm a prophet. And that is a lie, because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, I am the last prophet. There is no more prophets after me. This is the first lie. Those who will come to the conclusion, who believe in what Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasallam said, they know immediately he's a liar. And those are the ones who will read his word kafir on his overhead. Alayhi salatu wasalam. And the second stage, he will say, I am Allah. I am your Lord. Sayyidina Musa, when he came at that time to destroy this delusion and to destroy the image of the Pharaoh, you are just another man going to the toilet having shit. And Allah, the first sign to show the people around, when he threw the stick, at the time when he met at the tree, when he found this tree, as explained last time, it became a snake. Snake's small snake, tiny and small. You can catch by your hand. It's not really create any fear. But when he showed the Pharaoh, right, and this is what the verses say, ثُعْبَانٌ مُبِينٌ, a big python. When the Pharaoh have seen that big python, he can swallow the Pharaoh himself. He can swallow him with his throne. He gets scared. And that was in the front of his elite people. He said, our Lord is scared. Sorry, in Australian terms is shit. You're not a God. You're just normal. You have fears. Ilah or God should not fear because you are in control of everything. That was the first victory. But that was not in the front of the whole masses of Egyptians. That was just in the palace where he's top of the armies and some of the magicians. And as we explained last time, the black magic has like a ministry, like the Ministry of Interior, Ministry of Exterior, Ministry of Industry, this thing. It was a ministry. And it was the closest circuit to the Pharaoh. You remember that? And these closed loop people around الفرعون لعنة الله تعالى عليه ولعنة الله على كل فرعون. Doom for every pharaoh. They have seen the truth. How these people get brainwashed all these years. And this brainwashed is being inherited a king after a king, a pharaoh after a pharaoh after a pharaoh, and he is born a son that is the son of the god. And after the pharaoh passed away and they throw him in the God cannot die. But the people are not thinking, no brain. That was the battle. First battle has been won by Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam. Then the time will come in the front of all masses, he has been beaten. Because at that time, there is no magicians to throw their ropes and sticks. Just he have seen a big python about to eat anything in the palace. And Sayyidina Musa bring it back as a stick again in the front of the Pharaoh. But in the front of the Egyptians, all the masses there and the Bani Israel, that was eaten. Everything had been thrown on the floor by the magicians has been eaten, just to swallow everything. That's the truth. So the magician knows, they know that what they are doing is magic. But this is not magic. This is true. This is why all the magicians became Muslims on the spot. Right? So what Sayyidina Musa is calling here, he has tried and he has succeeded to destroy the image of Allah to be in a human form. It's not possible. Then he has broken this image of the delusion. Break the delusion. How he has done that? By magic or by this? This magic is being considered Bani Israel. They are Muslims. They worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They're making dhikr and tasbih and they have qiyam layl. They have everything. Muslims, real Muslims. And they have Sharia. At the time of the Sayyidina Musa. Don't look about what they are doing now. Forget about that. Just talk about at the time of Sayyidina Musa. Muslims, they are Muslims. And because of this tiny number of Muslims, they say 300,000. Some of the books say they 600,000. Whatever it is the number. All the Bani Israel, when they left Egypt, about 600,000. We'll take the bigger number. Like a full country. Because of they are implementing the Sharia to the dot. And what is the Sharia of Musa? It is regimented body and moral behavior. Don't kill. Don't look to your neighbor's wife. Don't steal. Don't do this. Just very regimented Sharia. At the time when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has been presented in the Quran, we have 14 haram. Have been mentioned in the Quran. 14 haram. Not 15, just 14. Remind me next time, I'll just give you the verses and you can count them. 14 haram. At the time of Sayyidina Musa, some of the scholars were 360. Some of them just 300 haram. Like there's a lot of very suffocating Sharia. Very regimented. No, haram. There's a lot of being surrounded with a lot of haram. Very much regimented Sharia. And they have to
to do that. Here is the key. I have to take you a little bit back at the time when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala infused the spirit in Adam, to understand what is really the problem. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala infused the spirit, when He infused the spirit in Adam, this is a perfect and complete divine print. It carries all Allah's qualities, has been imprinted in Adam. Agrees? So this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said Himself, إِنِّي جَاعَلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً. I am putting on earth a viceroy, a khalifa, someone will inherit my akhlaq, my qualities, and it has been inherited there. I want you to put this point here because the coming point is it's explaining our human behavior after Adam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Jabbar, Muntaqim. Oppressor, punishing. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said, Al-Aziz, Al-Mutakabbir. The only one is allowed to be mutakabbir, arrogant, is Allah, because He deserves to be so. Subhanahu. You are not allowed to be mutakabbir. You are not allowed to be jabbar. You are not allowed to be muntaqim. You are not allowed to be azim, great. You feel greatness. I am upstage. I am great. You just nothing. Just like a mosquito to me. You are not allowed. So, as has been this implanted, embodied in Adam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has to tailor a sharia to trim these qualities in you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has to descend or to tailor a sharia, a system you have to apply to trim these qualities for you. And He has a sahih hadith قدسي. قال سبحانه وتعالى في الحديث القدسي الكبرياء ردائي والعظمة إزاري من نازعني فيهما قسمته في النار ولا أبالي. الكبرياء, the big majesty and dynasty. These are my two top and bottom wearing. You know, you're on Hajj, you have two bottom white cloth and top. This is rida and izar. And he said, the rida and izar, azama and kibriya. Anyone, this is what Allah said subhanahu wa ta'ala in that hadith, anyone will try to have these two wearing, I will put him in the fire and I don't care. You are not allowed. This is a sharia. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling you, you are not allowed to have some of these qualities. Beautiful. Then He descended a sharia. I will use the sharia of Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, صاحب الشرع عليه الصلاة والسلام. And one of the sharia, you have to pray and make dua and put your nose and your overhead on the dust as a sign of humbleness and submission. You are practically expressing yourself, I am not God, I am not Lord, I am not great. I am not arrogant. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that is the whole exercise. The whole exercise is to come to the point when you completely annihilated those who have these qualities still in them, which is available. You can see tyrant people, tyrant governor, tyrant king, killing. He can wipe villages because they deny him. Oh, it happens. Go and look. And this is not just expressed in Arab sources. It's everywhere, like Vikings, like this, everywhere. Genghis Khan. Everywhere. This is a human nature. If you became an opponent or opposing that king, he will destroy you and your family, your children, offspring. He wipe the whole village you live in with your family out of the map. And it happens. And keep happening, and until now it's happening. Because those people having these qualities in them not being taken off, not being controlled. Right? So what they are think of themselves? Gods. Delusion. Like God in a human form. I'm a God. I can do whatever I want. I control this country. I control the world. Like this, what is happening, the Rothschild and Rockefeller and these guys, they are controlling the world. They think they are gods. And they are the arms and fingers of the Dajjal. Right? What is the story when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created Adam, infused the spirit in him, and asked everyone does exist, have seen that? When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instructed and given order to the angels or all the attendants to prostrate to Adam, all of them at once prostrated to Adam except one. He's not an angel, he's a jinn called Iblis. By the way, if he is an angel, because the Christians and Jews consider him as a fallen angel and give him a name Azazil, like Israfil, Mikael, Azazil, Israel. This is not true. This is rubbish. The word Iblis, Ablasa, means the one he has the despair, being kicked out of the mercy of Allah. This is the meaning of the name Iblis. Right? The one who lost hope of the mercy of Allah. This is the translation of his name. What did he say? He denied to prostrate to Adam, and he has this envy, hasad, and he said to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I am better than him. How come you want me? Since I am better, you created me from fire, you created him from dust, and fire can burn the dust. Which is true. I will not prostrate to him. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala kicked out of his mercy. And he said he is Rajim. Right? And what did he say? He asked, or he took Allah's permission to keep him stays until the day of judgment. Don't burn me, don't destroy me. Why? He said, I will لَأَقْعُدَنَّ لَهُمْ صِرَاطَكَ الْمُسْتَقِيمِ. I will deviate all of them, or the most of them, away from the straight path coming to you. What is that straight path? It is the path of you are resisting these qualities in you to annihilate all of them. Until you become completely submit to Allah, complete humbleness, you don't have any of these qualities inside you. This is the whole exercise for the human race all over the human history. This is the whole exercise. So those who have some of these qualities still inside them, this is the people we call they have nafs. Understand? These are the people who have nafs. These are the people who are living in delusion, thinking they are gods, thinking they are lords. That kind of delusion initiated from the nafs. And the nafs, what is that nafs? It lives with the facts that they have imprinted in them or carried on them some of Allah's qualities, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked them in the Sharia wise not to have these qualities. Is this clear from where all these issues comes, from where the shaitan? If you don't have nafs, if you annihilate, you get rid of completely of these qualities inside you, you don't have a bridge with the shaitan. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said it clearly in the Quran, Inna ibadi laysa laka alayhim sultan. You don't have any authority on my ibad. Who are these ibad? Those that are ones who completely submit to Allah, completely annihilated. They do not have these qualities inside them. Burn it completely. Being completely get rid of. Meaning they don't have nafs. Once as Abdulillah, you come to that level, actually Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has granted you to cut your relationship with the shaitan. There is no communication between you and them. As long as you have these nafs or some of these qualities still inside you, you have bridging with the shaitan, and he plays the game with you every day, every moment. When the shaitan long time ago have said to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, لَأَقْعُدَنَّ لَهُمْ صِرَاطَكَ الْمُسْتَقِيمِ, I will deviate them away from the straight path to you. Since then, this is his job. And what is the tools, or what are the tools he is using? Basically, you have these implanted qualities in you, and to approach these qualities, he has to use something physical, something external, which you call the passions, shahawat. In the Sharia, Allah has descended down. He didn't ask you not to have sex. He said, yeah, you can have sex, but there is within the border of marriage law. So you can have 1, 2, 3, 4 wives. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks, you can be wealthy, but from halal. You can eat this, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prohibited you to eat pigs or pork, and prohibited you to drink alcohol. Whatever he prohibited you not to have, this is for your benefit. Because if you go through this one, it is against your nature, against his system. But someone will ask me, why Allah has created the pig? Yeah. Allah, his name, one of his name, ya Sheikh Akram. One of his name, Al-Quddus. Do you know what is the meaning of his name, Al-Quddus? Is the one who purify and cleanse. The one who purify and cleanse. Physically and non-physically. This is why I said purify, which is non-physically, and cleanse, which is physically. like Shia and Hanafis and some of the Shafi'iyah prohibited you to eat prawns, shrimps. Why? Because the shrimps and prawns living on the floor, on the sea, living on the floor, they're not swimming up there like the fish. What they are eating? The stool of the fish. You know the stool of the fish? It's not like your stool have that... but assume with these hundreds of millions of years or millions of years, all the fish keeping stooling and having this shit down there, and there is nothing is cleaning up. You cannot live nearby the sea. It will be completely rotten, and that will accumulate with that means the sea will be raised up until the level of the sea will cover the whole onshore. You imagine the scenario? So Allah has to create something working under Al-Quddus. So the name Al-Quddus is working through the prawns. The name Al-Quddus is also working through the pigs, khanzir. So he has a job. This is why Allah has prohibited you not to eat it, because that is not going to work with your digestion and your cell system, blood circulation and that. Understand? So when Allah said this is prohibited, there is a reason. It doesn't have the job for you like cows and sheep and things to eat. It has a different job. He's working under the name Al-Quddus to eat everything. And he's the only animal on earth is eating his shit. And he's the only animal on earth, if he has a lot of children, he can eat his children. Do you know why? Allah has prohibited eating the pigs. Are you going to eat someone eating his children or eating shit? Yuck. Right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He laid down the system for us, that system called Sharia, by the way, don't suffocate the meaning of Sharia on having wudu and pray and being sadaqah. Sharia is the way of life. It covers every aspect in your life. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, tabassumuka fi wajhi akhika sadaqa. This is Sharia. Allah, Rasulullah is recommended you always smile in the front of the face of your brother. It became a Sharia. His recommendation sallallahu alayhi wasallam is a Sharia. قال صلى الله عليه وسلم إماطة الأذى عن الطريق صدقة. If you wipe out or remove the harm from the pathway or walkways of the people, it became sadaqah. This is Sharia. I said, this is Sunnah, I'm not going to do it. Just if everyone said this is not Sunnah, this is just Sunnah, I'm not going to do the fard only, then in few weeks, the pathway will completely become full of rubbish, because people pathing, and this one, a cigarette butt, tissues, banana skin, this and that, someone can piss on the it will not be human for human anymore. So it became a Sharia. You clean, you wipe out this. Sallallahu alayhi wasallam. The way he used to treat his wives, his children, his Sahaba, this is a Sharia. You have to imitate him. Sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So everything he has done, alayhi salatu wasalam, became a Sharia. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, have taqwa as much as you can. وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُمْ. You try to take as much as possible from his Sharia. Understand? Back again to the delusion. So those who have that nafs or residuals of these qualities still inside them, they living in delusions. And this statement, you can take it and apply it everywhere, ya Akram. Anta abdun lima tuhib. You are a slave of whatever you like, whatever you love. You love cigarettes, you cannot live without a cigarette, you became a slave to the cigarette. You love coffee, you became a slave to the coffee. You love women, you became slave to women. Anything you fall in love comes to the level of addiction, you became a slave of that. And the Sharia, or the life system of life Allah has laid down, is getting you not to be addicted to anything except Allah. The whole Sharia is made for you to become completely humble, down to earth, completely submit to Allah. If you didn't come to that level of submission and down to earth, get rid of all these qualities Allah prohibited you not to have, that means your path is incomplete. You need to do a lot of work to come to that level. That's another point. As we have explained many times here, the levels of nafs as Muslim is 7. النفس الأمارة بالسوء, اللوامة, الملهمة, المطمئنة, الراضية, المرضية, الكاملة. These 7 levels. But in humanity in general, there are 9 nafs. We never mentioned النفس الكافرة, the kafir nafs, النفس المشركة, the infidel nafs, and the polytheism nafs, the one who worship with Allah something else. This is below al-nafs al-ammara bis-su. Right? These 3 kind of nafs, the kafir nafs, the infidel nafs, the mushrik or the polytheism nafs, and al-ammara bis-su, the one who instructed you to do evil stuff, still at least in the first 50%, because even you have an ammara bis-su, but you are developing, you are improving, still in ammara, but you are developing and you are improving until you get rid of it. Right? Even if you move to a nafs al-lawama, the higher level of nafs, you still have some residuals comes with you. Maybe until the nafs al-mulhama, you can have a little bit of nafs al-ammara, just residual. It takes you a little bit here and there until when you get into a nafs al-mutma'inna, you don't have this nafs al-ammara bis-su at all. Right? What are the salient feature of these 3 nafs, al-kafira, al-mushrika, and al-ammara bis-su? The infidel, the polytheism, and the instructed to do evil ones. These are the 3 levels carrying these qualities, never get rid of, still inside you. They never down to earth. They consider even someone is worshipping his mind, his thoughts. I convinced that I have better thoughts than you. What is this Quran? I think it's nonsense for me. I have better qualities, better thoughts, better values than this Quran. So he's worshipping his aql, his mind. So he has another kind of Lord. Like he considered himself a God, put laws, shariahs to himself. It does exist. It's everyone can see this around. Alive, everywhere. Right? These 3 levels of nafs, all of them are living the delusion, considering themselves, whether if they have said or it is clear in their behavior, in their actions. They are lords. So these three nafs, I will leave now this an-nafs al-kafira and an-nafs al-mushrika, and I'll talk about an-nafs al-ammara bis-su. An-nafs al-ammara bis-su, the one instructed you to do evils, is always controlled by passions and the shahawat. I love women, I love money, I love this one, and always it can lead to stealing and lying and this and that. They're just doing evil actions. Right? Every passion, it leads you to do an evil action. Every passion, whatever, as we discussed, every passion against the Sharia or outside the border of the Sharia is being represented in that world of meanings of this is the world of examples. A snake has been represented, but by what? Snake. So it is a very symbolic when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks Sayyidina Musa, what is this in your right hand, Ya Musa? He said, it's my stick. He said, throw it, Ya Musa. When he threw it, it became converted immediately to what? To a snake. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked Musa to throw anything rather than me, him subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when he said, now you get it back, yes, you will get back as a stick because you already get rid of this inside you. It is under my control, don't worry. In the hadith, can I take another 5-7 minutes extra? In the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam about the one who abandoned the salah, he's a Muslim. He's saying, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasul. He's Muslim. When he get put after death, put in the grave, he will have a dragon. But those days in Arabia, they don't know the tineen, the dragon. They said, a snake with 99 heads. All of them are biting him. It depends. The number of the heads is the number of the passions you get the grave with. You never get rid of them while you are alive. This is where they are going to bite you in your grave. And as Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said that the Salah Imaduddin is the center of this deen. There is no Salah, there is no Islam. So you have wasted your Islam. The 99 heads of this snake or that tineen or that dragon is going to bite you. Represented the 99 names or the opposite of the 99 beautiful names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You didn't implement any of them as a Khalifa. So sticking to the Salah, that will lead you to become humble, down to earth, get rid of the nafs. Then there is no snakes there. And to explain to you by the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam what is the delusion means, after Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this is very, very important, guys, because this is very symbolic. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has explained that beautifully there. At the time after Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam opened Mecca, Fath Mecca, he sent Khalid ibn al-Walid radiallahu anhu with 20 night riders, 20 Faris. And he sent him out of the skirt of Mecca to one of these idols being worshipped called Al-Uzza. Right? And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam instructed Khalid ibn al-Walid to destroy this sanam, this statue. And he sent 20. So those who serve the kahana, the people serving this ilah, right, knew that Khalid ibn Walid coming would just run away in the top of the mountains. And they put one sword and one hammer in the hands of this to defend himself, this god. This is in the hadith. I'm not joking. This is what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. Khalid ibn Walid and these 20 Faris has destroyed sorry. Yeah, it's idol. It's like a statue, right? And he cuts all the trees around because people used to, for good luck and bad luck, hanging things on the trees around. He cut all the trees and he destroyed and small statues there and he broken everything. And he came back to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And Rasulullah alayhi wasallam asked a straightforward question. Did you do this one? He said, did you destroy? He said, I destroyed everything. He said, what? And Rasulullah alayhi wasallam asked him, what did you see? He said, nothing, Ya Rasulullah. He said, nothing. Go and destroy that idol now. You didn't destroy. He said, I just broke in. He said, no. Then Khalid ibn Walid with the 20 horse riders, Faris, back again. It's like you're talking about 30 kilos away or 20 kilos away from Mecca. And he get with his swords and these guys, he destroyed completely. He's not just splitting him twice and falling down the floor. He destroyed it to the small pieces and he found an old, naked, ugly woman comes out of that. Out of that idol, out that statue. Then Khalid ibn Walid immediately understood what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam meant by that, and he split this woman by the sword. The thing is, ya Hagga, there is not a single drop of blood. When she's split and put on the floor, vanished. It's not something really physical. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has explained that one. They were worshipping because that jinn living inside that statue making sounds and giving instructions. Do you think this is God? That is jinn. Delusion. And why it is jinn and what is the relationship between the jinn and the delusion? Because they live. When Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in one of his ghazawat, he found the bones of a camel, and the Sahaba about to take these bones of that camel to use it as toilet paper or something. They're going to say, no, don't touch that. He said, what? Rasulullah, why? He said, because your brothers in jinn is eating from that, but there is no meat. Rasulullah said, they are living in the imagination world. They imagine the meat there and they eat it. So the jinn are living in an imagination world. And since we have this imagination power as part of our powers in our mind, this is why I have some bridging with them. Those who have a strong imagination power can see the jinn. I will stop here. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك من كل ذنب ونتوب إليك. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. نشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له
له الملك وله الحمد يحيي ويميت وهو حي لا يموت وهو على كل شيء قدير وإليه المصير. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما باركت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته.